In today's episode, titled Motivated to Succeed, Determining Your Attitude Towards Change and Progress, we dive into a thought-provoking topic that applies not only to starting a business, but also to navigating your career. While listening to this episode, reflect on your own goals and mindset and ask yourself, are you looking for an excuse or a way? Don't miss out on this empowering and motivational episode. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Stay-at-Home Nurse Podcast. I'm your host, Deanna Cooper Gillingham, bedside nurse turned lifestyle entrepreneur. I started my career as a nurse in 1994 and worked in a variety of settings, eventually landing a dream job as a work-from-home case manager. But it still did not give me the freedom and flexibility I desired. So in 2014, I created a side hustle that turned into a multi-six-figure lifestyle business, allowing me to leave my job and move to the Caribbean in 2016. I haven't looked back since. I now travel the world while running my business. I have fulfillment, freedom, flexibility, and fun. I want the same for you. This podcast is here to inspire and equip you to live your best life. Let's get started. There are two types of people, those who tend to look for ways and those who tend to look for excuses. This mindset will impact your ability to achieve your goals. Which one are you? Have you ever found yourself complaining about a situation but not taking any action to change it? Don't feel bad. We all do it to some point. But if it's something that you really want, are you finding excuses why you can't achieve it? Or are you looking for ways to overcome obstacles? How do you differentiate between an obstacle and an excuse? An obstacle is a true reason why something isn't happening. It's something that you can overcome and you can find ways to get around. But an excuse, those just keep coming. An excuse is usually something that is a fear-based. It's a reason why you don't want to do something. But it's a reason why you don't want to do something. It's not a reason why you can't do something. Just about everything can be overcome if you desire it and you really want to work towards it. So sometimes that's the whole reason why we don't do things, because we really don't want to. We're kind of complacent and we are more happy with the status quo and the devil we know versus the devil we don't know. So how can you overcome obstacles and find solutions to achieve your goals? Some of the things that you can do is surround yourself with other people who have the same desired goals as you, or people that are just reaching for some type of goal and will support you. I love masterminds because in masterminds, we all want to achieve something. We all share what we want to achieve, and then we all help each other to achieve those goals that we have. We may have the same goals or we may have different goals, but it's a very empowering place where there's no excuses. Excuses are thrown out the window, and you are made to look at what you really want and what you really are willing to do to get what you want. Another thing is a coach. Coaches will help you decide if you really want something or if you just think you want it. Sometimes the problem is we don't know the steps to take, and we're afraid of making the wrong step. And that's okay. That's why there are coaches, consultants, masterminds, people that have already taken these steps and are willing to help you to take your step, the next step, the logical step to achieve your goals. Another thing I find is people are afraid of making mistakes, especially nurses. Anybody really in the medical profession. We're taught to double and triple check everything. Some medications and some treatments, like hanging blood, can't be done unless you have another person look at it and check off. You need 2 signatures to hang that blood. But we don't need 2 signatures or 2 people to look at business decisions that we make. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't get advice from trusted people, but when you're getting advice from somebody, it needs to be somebody who, number one, has a positive attitude and is not going to shoot down every idea that you have. It also needs to be somebody who understands you and your goals and is committed to helping you to achieve those goals. And it needs to be somebody who actually has achieved some success. There's a story about the crabs in the bucket, and you can put crabs in a bucket and not put a lid on them, because if you have more than one crab in a bucket and one starts to get out, the other crabs will pull it back in. And that's a tendency that people have. It's not that they're bad or that they don't love you or care about you, But we all want to kind of keep everything the same. And if one person is all of a sudden trying to succeed, for whatever reason, it seems like people just want to pull them back and keep them with us. They're afraid of them succeeding too much. And maybe they're afraid of them failing, but for whatever reason, if you're going to take an advice from people, make sure they're people who have actually achieved something significant, who are willing to take risks, and are not going to expect you to just stay in your safety zone. So you have to shift your mindset to view mistakes as learning opportunities. If you make a mistake in your business, you're not going to kill somebody. If you make a mistake at the bedside, you may cause them great harm or injury or even death. We have to become excited about making mistakes, because a mistake is just getting you one step closer to the right decision. That's really hard for us healthcare professionals to understand, because we're so conditioned not to make mistakes. But I want to invite you to make mistakes when it comes to your business, because mistakes mean that you're taking action, and that means you're getting closer to your actual goal. Sometimes when I'm out hiking, I'll be not sure which direction to take. I'll be maybe at a fork and I'm looking at my little compasses and I'm looking at my trail guides and I'm trying to figure out which way I'm supposed to go. And sometimes the only way, if there's nobody else out there, nobody to coach me, nobody to consult with, I have to just start walking in one direction. And when I start walking in that direction, I can look at my compass and my little Garmin that I take and see that I'm going off the trail, and then I have to turn around and go back and take the other trail. But if you just stand there and take no action, then you're not going to know if you're going down the right way or the wrong way. So sometimes you have to just take the action and then reevaluate, is this a mistake or is it the right choice? You can always go back. You can always try something different. Another thing that I see people find when they are coming up with excuses is they're waiting for the perfect moment to take action. I remember when I was much younger and I was in the stage where I was looking to start having children, and people told me if you wait for the perfect moment to have children, you will never have children. And it's the same thing with starting your business. If you're waiting for the perfect moment to start your business or to take action, you'll probably find there is no perfect moment. Now, yes, there are some times that are better than others, but there's rarely a perfect moment. So sometimes you just have to start taking action, even if it's small action, because over time, that will compound. And you'll see that when you look back, you've taken many steps in the right direction. A lot of people in business have discovered what is called the baby effect. And this is when somebody is looking to start a business or a side hustle, and all of a sudden, them or their spouse is having a baby, and they realize that they want to change their life. They don't want to be working the long hours and working for somebody else and not having control of their life and their decisions. And many successful entrepreneurs found that when they were having a baby, everything changed because they had a time limit. They had 9 months or less to figure this out and make it successful. And if you look it up, you'll find that many people have become successful because of the baby effect. Now, my question to you is, if you don't have the baby effect, what do you have? What can you put out there that says, I need to reach this by this time because something is happening that I cannot change and I need to be done by this time? I see this a lot in the Facebook groups for people who would like remote nursing jobs. They're pregnant or they just had their baby and they don't want to leave the house. They want to be there with the baby, so they're looking for remote nursing jobs. It's the same thing. It's that baby effect. All of a sudden, that baby makes you look at the whole world differently. And you don't have time anymore to find excuses. You have to find a way. So what can you use as that landmark of you have to do something successful and make a change by a certain date? Now, this does not have to be going into entrepreneurship. This can also be with your career. As I said, many nurses are looking for remote jobs when they have a baby. But I also see a lot of people complaining about their job or their career or nursing in general, and they're not looking at all the other opportunities and the things that they could do. So they're very happy complaining. And I know a lot of people like this. They're just happy complaining. And I still love these people. They're in my life. And there will always be in my life, but sometimes I have to kind of put a cap on the complaining. So I want to ask you, are you the person that goes to work and is happy to just complain about the status quo, or are you somebody that actually wants to change things? Now, I'm not saying that just because you want to change things, you can, especially when you're working outside in a hospital or in a clinic or somewhere where you don't have a lot of control. But there are some things that you can control, and you can try to go up the chain of command and change things. If that's not possible, you can always start your own business too, and then you get to do things the way that you want. If you start your own business, you get to always be looking for opportunities and ways to make things better, which is one of the things that I love. As an entrepreneur, you're always looking for a way, and you have to very rarely look for an excuse. If it's something that you really want, you have to figure out a way to make it happen. And I find that it's almost addictive, that when you start finding ways, you'll start finding ways for other people, for other things. It's just your whole mindset changes and everything becomes possible and nothing becomes impossible. And it might be something that you have to practice. Setting up little challenges for yourself, like, okay, I thought I couldn't do this, but there has to be a way. How can I do it? So start to ask yourself, how could I make this happen? What do I have to do? What kind of action do I have to take to make this seemingly impossible thing possible? I was recently at the NNBA conference, and after that, Abby and I did our workshop, and then we had some coaching. And I noticed during the conference, during the workshop, and during the coaching that there are two very different types of people. That's actually one of the things that inspired this podcast episode. There are people that I have seen there for years and years and years, and they haven't started their business yet. It's just never been the perfect time, or they had to do one more thing to be ready to start their business, or they had to buy another course, or they had to get more education. There's always a reason why they haven't started yet. And then there's other people who they'll go to the conference for the first time, and before they leave, they have a domain name, they started their website, and they are taking action. They're already looking for clients at the event. It's amazing. So some people just tend to have this instinct of going forward and looking for a way and not looking for the excuses, where other people tend to always be looking for the excuses. There's always something that will happen that will keep you from achieving your goal if that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for an excuse, you'll find it, and if you're looking for a way, you'll find it. Okay, so how can you identify when you're making excuses versus genuinely looking for solutions? If you're looking for solutions and you ask somebody for their help or you Google it, you will do things to find solutions. If you're looking for solutions, you will find them. You will do what it takes, whether it's consulting with other people, hiring a coach, joining a mastermind, Googling it, buying a course, you'll find a way. If you're making excuses, even if you find a solution, you'll find another excuse and another excuse and another excuse. So that's how you can kind of differentiate between the two. So think back on a goal that you've been meaning to pursue. Are you currently looking for an excuse or a way to achieve it? And what steps can you take to shift your mindset and start making progress? I think we've covered a couple of the things in here, but again, talk to people. Talk to people who actually are growth mindset people who are always bettering themselves and improving on themselves, and ask them, how can you achieve the goals that you want? Another thing you can do is to start thinking of yourself as a problem solver and somebody who takes action. So you don't just think about the reasons why you can't do something, but every time you think of a reason why you can't do something, take it a step further and think about, okay, if this had to be done, how would I do it? And then start taking action on it. Don't just think about it, but actually do it. If you start taking small actions every day, you will achieve your goal. And sometimes it's kind of like the stone that's rolling downhill and picking up moss and getting bigger and bigger and bigger, the snowball effect. Once we start achieving success, even small successes, it motivates us to keep going. But you can't achieve that success until you actually do something. So I want you to take this opportunity to reflect back on something that you really want, whether it's starting a business, changing your job, changing your career, having a better career, maybe it's a different job that you want within your career, maybe it's a promotion, and ask yourself, what have you done recently to take action on achieving that? And are you making excuses, or are you actually looking for ways to achieve that goal and taking action to achieve that goal? Okay, one last thing I want to mention as we close out is that we have a very supportive community. If you're a case manager, we have the Case Managers Community Facebook group where you can go and become a member of that group. If you're not a case manager, we have the Stay at Home Nurse podcast group. And this is another place where you can go and be amongst other people who have growth mindsets, who are looking to do something a little bit different and will support you in your efforts. So I would invite you to join our Facebook group, the Stay at Home Nurse Podcast Facebook group. There you can post your questions and comments based on this episode, another episode, or just a question in general. You never know, that question may become another podcast episode. Until next time, adios.